Hello, good morning everyone. This is Liz Davis. I am a nutritionist and I specialise in digestive health for busy women. So I help busy women fix their painful digestion, reflux, bloating, IBS and so on, any kind of related hormone issues or chronic fatigue, etc. conditions like that, which can quite often be linked in some way to what's going on in your gut. And I do this with state-of-the-art lab testing, so gut testing, hormone testing, etc., whatever else we need, and then dietary and lifestyle upgrades to bring things back into balance for you. So I was going to do a quick rundown today all about omega-3 fats and what can happen. So the 9 signs that you could look for to see whether or not you're deficient in these vital nutrients and or this vital nutrient, should I say, and the best food sources to look for to make sure that you're getting plenty of the right kind of omega-3 fats in your diet. So the problem with omega-3 fats is that they were many years ago they did form a major part of our diet when we tended to live more around coastal areas. So if we were living around, say, the Mediterranean or Asia, etc., our diet would naturally be very rich in these nutrients. We ate a lot of fish, shellfish, etc. And then as people have moved more inland, then our diets naturally have just dropped in omega-3 fats because the seafood would have been our major source. So the other thing we need to bear in mind as well is that we need to keep our omega-3 ratio balanced with the amount of omega-6 that we are consuming. The problem is that omega-6 is in absolutely everything. It's in loads and loads of foods. Primary source for us would probably be seed oils, for example, sunflower oil, vegetable oil, and so on. And then with that comes, of course, the fact that omega-6 is in a lot of processed foods. So it's everywhere and we eat far too much of it. And then that throws out the ratio with our omega-3. So we're not getting anything like enough omega-3 and far too much omega-6. And the upshot of all this is that we end up with this incredibly inflammatory combination going on, because the omega-3 is anti-inflammatory, whereas your omega-6 is a pro-inflammatory. And as we know, lots of our conditions and things that we struggle with in modern life are driven by inflammation. So it's a really important area to get a handle on. So basically then, if you're looking to see if what symptoms you've got and whether they can be implicated in an omega-3 deficiency, what you would be looking for are things like dry skin would be a big giveaway, and alongside that, dry hair, etc. So that general feeling of not having enough moisture going on. A lack of concentration in adults or ADHD in children. You would also be looking certainly at digestive problems, because it has been shown in scientific studies that if you're not eating enough omega-3, then it definitely does impact your microbiome negatively as well. Irritability, lots of mood problems, so anxiety, depression and so on, can be helped with making sure you're having enough omega-3 in your diet, and also things like hay fever as well, and allergies. So anything that you can kind of think of that would be driven by inflammation can be helped by having adequate omega-3 in your diet. So what to do about it then? If you do think you are deficient, what do you need to do? Well, make sure you're having the best thing to do is make sure you're having plenty of oily fish in your diet. So salmon, mackerel, sardines, etc. Those are all your oily fish. Atlantic wild Atlantic salmon is a really good source for you. It's better than farm salmon, but that's a whole other subject. That is by far and away the best source, and you need to be having around 2 to 4 portions of that every week, which sounds like a lot, and that will vary from person to person. So some people will find they feel fine on, say, 1 or 2 portions. Some people, if they're suffering with any kind of condition, might be wanting to look at more 4 portions a week. So the other thing to bear in mind is there are lots of plant-based sources of omega-3. The trouble is the type of omega-3 they contain isn't that well utilized by the body. So a lot of these foods are very, very beneficial for other reasons as well, but as a source of omega-3, you cannot rely on it. Your body will probably absorb a small amount of it, but nothing like the amount that you need. So those kinds of foods would be things like chia seeds, or walnuts. They're quite often sold as a great omega-3 source, but of course they aren't. So if you are not hitting that kind of target, and a lot of people aren't, because fish, especially oily fish, is one of those foods that lots of people just don't like, then it's going to be really important to supplement it. So if you're vegan or vegetarian and you just prefer to have like a plant-based omega-3 supplement, those can be really useful, and they're made out of algae usually. So it's of course the case that the fish would have eaten the algae. That's how the fish have the omega-3 in their system in the first place. So if you use a vegan omega-3, then that's where your source is coming from. Otherwise, there are some great pollution-free, really good quality omega-3 supplements that you can go for as well. Lots of good ones on the market. If you're not sure which to go for, just pop me a message under here and I can point you in the right direction. Grass-fed meats as well. So if you're a meat eater, then the grass-fed versions of meat above the grain-fed versions are nice, options to go for. They're naturally just much richer and beneficial fats. So if you can switch those out sometimes and have some really good quality grass-fed meat, that will kind of help you towards your targets there as well. Okay, so that's a quick rundown on omega-3 fats, where to get them and what the signs are that you may be deficient. Okay, I hope you found that useful, and if you did, do like and share, and I shall see you next time. Okay, bye.